everyone, and welcome back to Cardiac, the spookiest channel on this side of the internet. Now, as I've talked about before, I have major concerns as to why it would be why everyone has to do a haunt event now, especially with the pandemic still going on, still raging, and trying to do everything you can to make sure that you don't spread the disease, because it's the last thing you want to do, especially considering that most theme parks and businesses, the last thing they want to do is to get sued for doing stuff like that. But Universal Halloween Horror Nights is sort of back with the release of 2 mazes that they did specifically for Universal Orlando during the daytime. First and foremost, I think, as you've heard me say, I've said this before, is that it's kind of hard to kind of maintain a 6-foot distance from someone, especially within a maze. That's super hard to do, and I think that the way that Universal might have done a really good job. Who knows? So we're going to talk about specifically one of the 2 mazes that they have for this year. There are 2, which is, I believe one of them is called The Bride of Frankenstein and the other one is called The Revenge of the Tooth Fairy, which we're going to watch that second. So the way I'm going to do this is that I'm going to step off camera, watch it, and then I'm going to come back and give my feedback and my thoughts on it. If you would like to see the video that I watched, I'm going to include it in the description down below. The video was courtesy of Attractions Magazine, so please keep that in mind. Give them some love, show them some love. There's still kind of just freshly coming out, so keep that in mind. Now, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and watch Revenge of the Tooth Fairy, and I'm going to step away. Alright everyone, so I just finished watching and reviewing Revenge of the Tooth Fairy. Now, some context. About several years ago, I was in a maze at Knott's Scary Farm called the Tooth Fairy. Basically, the Tooth Fairy would go in and steal kids who were asleep or who weren't asleep or trying to trick the Tooth Fairy, rip their body parts to shreds, reassemble them, and basically make them their minions. And it was set in present day. This one takes a bit of a different approach, as we're going to be talking about I think the name is the Westmore family, I think is their last names, where basically what happens when someone says no to the Tooth Fairy. You suddenly realize that was the worst mistake you could ever fucking make. Specifically because the fact that you are now going to be tortured, terrorized, and not just you, so is your family. Now already I was like, okay, how are they going to do this? It's going to be very interesting. When it was revealed that it was going to be told in a Victorian style and you were going to walk through the house of the family, I was like, okay, that's kind of an interesting approach to encounter and see how that's going to work. What I liked about it is specifically in the beginning, as at the beginning it basically tells you right point blank period exactly what was going to happen. What happens when you say no to the Tooth Fairy. And what's even cooler is that they also added in one of the signs, they actually have like a projection that shows like hand-drawn, like storybook, like early 1900s like drawing, which I thought was really cool. And then as you go into the house, it's actually kind of looks like a storybook, which I thought was super fucking cool. And what's even funnier too is, like, obviously I was like, okay, how's that going to work with distancing and stuff like that? Basically every monster is behind plexiglass, and so you can tell right away that, like, you can tell when monsters are where they're going to be jumping out of, specifically because there's plexiglass there. And it's kind of in 2 ways. You either have a full body one that covers an entire door frame, or they did it to where they actually cover it to about the general height of where the performer's head is going to be. So if someone tried to spit or something, they're going to completely miss. Or they try to punch, they're basically going to punch the plexiglass. So that was kind of interesting. I think the way that they went about it was very fascinating, because obviously that's a huge challenge. How are you going to do a haunt maze when you know that there's a fucking pandemic going around? How do you make that work? And I think Universal, in the manner that they did, was kind of interesting to see. I will also give props to the fact that they decided to do this during the day for day guests, just to make it happen. Now, do I think Knott's could probably do something like that? I do think they can. Now, after now seeing that, I could see them doing something like that. Even Universal Hollywood here, I could see them doing that as well. It was really cool. I would say if you try to distance everyone, like maximize it and do 6 feet from like everywhere, I don't think it would have worked. If Knott's and Universal here did it in the manner that they did in Orlando, I think it could probably work. It would have been super cool. But for now, we do have the Taste of Halloween, which I think is super fantastic. So overall, I think it was super cool. I actually really liked it, and it makes me kind of want to fly to Florida so I can see it in person, but not gonna happen because I have other shit to do. So let me know in the comments down below, what are your thoughts about the Revenge of the Tooth Fairy? And if you have not heard, Haunt Vlog is still gonna be happening. I realize that, I'm not at Knott's, that's fine, but I am going to be going around to various haunts all over Southern California, so if there is a haunt that you want to see me go to and freak out on, please let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear what you think, because I will be going to those spots and vlogging it for all of you. And I'm going to be having a lot of people come through here as well, so I'm very excited about that. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe down below. I'm going to be releasing more content, a lot more. And if you want to follow us across social media, feel free to visit the links in the description down below. And with all that being said, thank you so much for watching. My name is Forrest, and I'll see you in the shadows.